When Leif rang me one evening many months ago and asked me if I'd be his best man, I was so confused that I agreed. I was deeply flattered at first to think that he had asked his next eldest brother to perform such an honoured task. And at the same time, I thought that he was really taking something of a risk. Because anybody who knows me will know that punctuality is something that I have never learned, and how he expected me to get here on time, I haven't a clue. But after I got over the euphoria of this honour that was bestowed upon me, I suddenly realised that there are duties to perform. Now, I've only been married once so far, myself. And that was 17 years ago. So I couldn't really remember what it was that a best man is supposed to do. So I rang Leif up and I said, "Look, old boy, what the heck am I supposed to do?" So he said, "Well, look, don't worry about it." He said, I'll send you a book." So he sent me a book. Now, I got somebody to read it to me, and in it said that I was going to have to make a speech. So I enrolled to evening classes to learn how to write with joined up writing. But unfortunately the tutor was sacked for being dyslexic. So with very little time to spare, I went back to the book, and here it is. The Best Man's Duties. You didn't believe me, did you? And in the book it has a sample speech with little gaps that you can just put in the relevant name. Well, I thought that's cheating. So I thought, no, I'll have to do this on my own. I'll sit down and I will write down everything that I know about Leif. Okay. Well, that's as far as I got. So I went back to the book. And with due apologies to Vernon Heaton, who wrote this, this is what he says about Leif. I have actually modified it a tiny bit. Well, Leif was born, the first time I met him, was when I was 15. And the curious thing is that we've maintained this 15-year age gap, more or less, ever since. But the thing is, you get a funny perspective of somebody when you've changed the nappies, and when you've got up at 2 o'clock in the morning to give him his bottle, and somehow or other never really expect that he's ever likely to grow up. But he was always quick to learn, and in fact I have at home a tape recording which was made when he was about 2, when Father was painting a gate, and he'd left the tape recorder running with Leif with him, and they're chattering about this and that, and the birds are twittering in the background. It's obviously a lovely summer's day, and every so often Father would say, "Leif, don't put sand in the paint." And after a couple of minutes it goes, "Leif, don't put sand in the ruddy paint." Well, if you fast forward another couple of minutes, there's Leif, clearly still doing it, saying, "Don't put sand in the ruddy paint." But I say he was fairly quick to learn. He got through school reasonably unscathed. I don't think I probably ought to say any more than that. With the requisite number of O and A levels. I'm sure he did that purely out of spite, because I was kicked out before I got mine. and so to Leif University. Well, I'm not sure if that's when the trouble really started. But having said that, I think it's also fair to say that he found his salvation there as well. To say that he enjoyed himself at university, I think would be a classic understatement. I thought I had enjoyed my youth, but I clearly didn't have Leif's imagination or stamina. I have a bill here, which I'd like you all to see. I'll pass it around later. It's from a firm of Leeds builders, Bodgett and Run, for replacing a drain pipe at Lyddon Hall. And there's a message handwritten on the bottom, suggests that next time he might consider hiring a ladder. Now, finance or budgeting has always been a great problem for me. Living within his means was a triviality. It was tiresome and somewhat cramped his style. But an inventive boy to the end, he merely changed banks. A well-known bank called Fenton's Off License. Where I gather that the deal was you go in and buy a packet of matches for twopence and pay with a £10 cheque and get the change. We have heard that he's moderately sporty. Skiing probably is his forte. But the courage and style of Eddie Eagle is absolutely nothing compared with Leif. Training as he was on a low budget, you've heard about his finances, he used the stairs in his house as a dry ski slope when he was practicing for his ski jumping. And unfortunately somebody shut the glass door on the bottom and he put his hand through it. Now it wasn't really very funny, he severed all the nerves and all the things in his right hand, which wasn't good. But I do understand that there is absolutely no truth in the suggestion that the wedding date was delayed until he had recovered all sensation in his right hand. He's always been remarkably undomesticated in terms of sort of doing things for himself, but he's been blessed with an uncanny sense of timing which allows him to wait just long enough for somebody else to volunteer to do whatever it is he wants. So, I ask you, ladies and gentlemen, it's blasted late now, but how can I possibly recommend this devil-may-care dilettante for marriage to such a sweet girl as me? I will say, though, that I always expected him to take a wife. My only worry was whose would he take? But Liz is a remarkable girl. She's a credit. She's a credit to Barbara and Ian. Yeah. Who, incidentally, I would say, interestingly enough, are old friends. Not of mine, you understand. I never met them. But Liz clearly saw some merit in Leif, and set about reforming him and turning him into her perfect man. She's either done a remarkable job or she's remarkably easy to please.